military and the police mounted roadblocks everywhere in the country.
You wanted your balls.
Looking for me. Yeah, looking for me. When they didn't find me, they kept raiding my friends, members of parliament and all that. He raided the home of my personal assistant when he didn't find me, because he was looking for me. When he didn't find me, they abducted the wife and kept her in a military barracks for 37 days. And in those days, we don't know to the extent what exactly took on, but she told us, among other things, that they removed her contraceptive, her IUD from her. This is a military barracks and many other things. So knowing that, I knew that the first time they get their hands on me, I was a dead man. Once again, I played James Bond and in a Robert style exited the country, and here I am. Yeah.
Many people are very grateful that you're here today, but it's also, I know, a heavy weight to be in exile. So I wanted to ask, let me see how we're doing in time. I have a few questions, and then I'll hand it over. I mean, just building on these terrible stories of violence and harm, what does keep you going? What makes it worth it for you, especially if you feel like you can't be safely in the country at this moment?
Hope that one day everything's going to be all right. And the belief that oppressed people can stay oppressed forever. I mean, we look back in history where we are, so many countries have been there. Kenya was there in the days of Moi. You know, many other countries have been there, but with the persistence of their citizens, they win. And also the enormous support that we enjoy. You see, while many people focus on my own challenges, but I must say that I'm way better than those that we struggle together with. For example, I mean, I have international attention on me, and I'm more like having a spotlight on me. My challenges tend to be shared many times. When I made my way to America, I mean, I have the luxury of having a passport and a visa and affording an air ticket, or having friends that can get me an air ticket to get out of danger. But even when I come to the diaspora, for example, I ran out of my country, my wife left first, we are here in a foreign land, you know, with our 4 children, but we are being embraced. One thing I did not mention, that when the military raided and beat up my house and she ended up in hospital, she escaped from her hospital bed to be able to leave the country. Meanwhile, the military took over my house. Not the home, not surrounding the home, but broke into the house and started living in my house and in my compound. They chased away my house help. They could not allow any of my family members to access my home. For a month and a half, they were living in my house. Sometimes those that there was one gardener that stayed there, and every now and then we'd see soldiers moving out of my house in my clothes. So it would be funny if it wasn't sad, but we were able to go past that. So the hope and the support that we get from the people that are even more oppressed than myself, I mean, the common people, that alone keeps us going. You know, when I was in hiding, I would just show up in people's houses and they would, everybody fits in. I mean, it's like we have known each other for a long time. There's this Muslim woman whose house I ran into while they were chasing us. She screamed, "Oh my God!" and they say, "Hey, it's Bobi wine." Suddenly she went quiet.
I know.
So for me, that is one thing that keeps me going. The faith that people have in this that we believe in, the support that we enjoy, the fact that the millions of people are involved in this, young, old, men, women, rural, urban, educated, uneducated. Everybody sees this as an opportunity for us to get together and overcome it. The struggle has been taken from the intellectuals way down to the masses. It has been owned by the people, the border riders, the farmers, the barbers, the vendors in the market. That alone gives me hope that this is going to go well and we're going to win. So that alone is one fuel that keeps me moving.
Thank you. I was supposed to be moderating a conversation with activists from Tanzania to cancel the discussion. And so I wanted to ask kind of what your assessment is of the landscape across the Great Lakes region, East Africa, and even across Africa or the world, whatever level resonates for you. I mean, Uganda is in some ways not exceptional. Your story, your individuality, the movement is exceptional, and yet we see this sort of democracy needing to move into movement rather than be able to contest elections. Authoritarians, validating election results that seek to give themselves legitimacy. People talk about backsliding, they talk about rising authoritarianism, but you're sort of at the front of the mind. Like, what do you see in the region, and what do you think is going to happen next with the young people?
Thank you. Uganda is not a special case. This is a challenge that is in not only the Great Lakes region, but all over Africa, and it's very sad. As a matter of fact, when I escaped out of my country, many people that present themselves with a badge of Pan-Africanism criticized me so much for running to the white man's land, for running to the colonialists. I mean, that's not where our solution is. They would probably escape me to run to Kenya or Tanzania or any African country, and I would love to, But as we speak right now, the dictatorship in Uganda has and continues to export itself to many other parts of Africa. And that is the danger of dictatorship, like Martin Luther King when he said injustice everywhere, anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. In the current times, a dictatorship anywhere is a threat to democracy everywhere, because it emboldens other dictators that it's actually possible you can do it and get away with it. I mean, back in the day, Africa was safe. The freedom fighters in Uganda, those who fought against Idi Amin, they didn't have to run to America, they just ran to Tanzania. As a matter of fact, Tanzania helped us get rid of Idi Amin. I wish we could be moving forward and not backwards. Museveni himself and our fathers that were fighting against the Obote government, they would run to Kenya because Kenya was safe. Just over a year and a half ago, Dr. Kizza Besigye, a veteran, iconic freedom fighter in Uganda, was abducted from Kenya by Ugandan security. With assistance with the Kenyan security, he was driven in a car trunk, in a car book, across the border illegally and charged in a pseudo-military court, in a kangaroo court in Uganda. Activists from Tanzania are being tortured. Those that come from Uganda and went to Kenya, there was, our brothers and sisters that went to Kenya, that went to Tanzania. Many of them got tortured for days, sexually assaulted, and men, they were sodomized. It is sad that now East Africa in particular is being reduced. The East African community is being reduced to a president's club to keep each other safe in power. It's not like the way it used to be. The longer people stay in power, is the more they get spoiled. I think when we were having a conversation earlier on, I told you that I was named after Robert Mugabe. He was a prized revolutionary. He was a great guy that people admired. Unfortunately, by the time he died, he had degenerated to a despised dictator. And over the time, it was no longer pride to share a name with him. That's why I even changed my name to Bob, because Bob was better than Robert, although it meant the same. So my point here is that the region from home and running much further from even the continent because it's not safe at all, because democracy is dying, because dictators are looking out for each other and trying to squeeze life out of all those that try to empower people and try to keep the democratic candle burning. Yeah.
All right, the floor is open. I'll ask that you please keep your questions rather than speeches, and please keep them brief, and introduce yourself. Is it okay if we take two at a time? Because I see we have a large audience. Okay. So we'll start here in the front, and then I'll come to the next person in the front, and then I'll go to the back and try to be democratic and inclusive. David.
All right, thank you so much for your...
Would you stand just so everyone can...
Yeah, my name is David. I'm a second year grad student at Harvard here. I'm actually taking a class with Dr. Marks now. And we watched your video in one of our classes where you were singing. And my question actually borders on that. And, you know, it sounded very Christian, right? I saw that very Christian, right? Christianity, like you drew so much on Christian imageries, basically. And even right here, you've mentioned things like gospel, servant leadership, and things like that. And so I just wanted you to maybe talk about, is there any influence that Christianity has had on you in this movement so far? Or how are you actually drawing on these influences? Because I know that Christianity is probably 80 to 84% of the population in Uganda. So what does that actually do to your activism? And also, one of the things that we know within activisms like this is that there are a lot of people who often are
APM Media TV wano wetukutuusizaako amawulire aga buli kika agafa gawano aga East Africa n'ebunaayira omuli ebyobufuzi entambula n'ebyobulambuzi amawulire ku bulamu bwa buli.
Maybe just the paradox of that religion within your activist movement.
Really interesting question.
Religion. Let's take one more from the gentleman in the hat.
Yes, my name is William Nyende. I hold a master's in health informatics from Northeastern and an IT degree from Northeastern. When I was doing my master's, they taught us how to summarize 600 pages into a picture. Okay? And it has to be one page and it has to be a picture. So now, may I request that you do not interrupt him as I ask him this question, please? So the question I want to ask you is 600 pages that we need to summarize in one page, and that page has to be a picture. And this is what I think the problem in Africa and in Uganda is. Here's a question. How do we use constitutionalism to fight the power in the bearer of the gun? Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So we have a question on the role of religion in your movement, and a question on constitutionalism, fighting the barrel of the gun with the military power.
Thank you very much. I like the question. I sound very Christian. Do I? I would not look at myself as very Christian, not even very religious. I respect my religion. I was assigned Catholic at birth, you know. I know many others are assigned Muslim and all that. It was not our choice. But it's not a bad thing though. So, and especially the teachings. For example, you ask if I draw inspiration from Christianity. I think I draw inspiration from Christ and the message of servant leadership, of decency, of truth, of honesty, of respect. It's Christianity is humanity. And just like Islam is salam, is peace. Just like other religions, I draw so much from religion. Whether I'm very religious, I'm not sure. Whether it is the solution, I'm also not sure. As a matter of fact, I am more unsure about religion right now than it was. We have in Uganda the Interreligious Council. This is supposed to be the highest moral body that holds people morally accountable. Unfortunately, and with so much respect to them, I see them in the firm grip of the dictator. These are people that, sworn in Idi Amin. These are the same people that legitimize a dictator that murders people for fun, that mauls people on the street. And you won't hear them calling them out. It became even more unfortunate about 2 days ago when the Archbishop of the Church of Uganda came out under so much social media pressure and said, yo, I'm not here to save you. Actually, I operate otherwise. I don't operate like John the Baptist, because John the Baptist ended up being killed. You understand? I don't have to talk about everything. Some things need silence. Now, this is silence in the face of oppression. It brings back nostalgic memories of religious leaders of yesteryears like Desmond Tutu, who said, if you are neutral in a situation of injustice, you've chosen the side of the oppressor. If an elephant is putting his foot on a tail of a rat and you're neutral, you've chosen the side of the elephant. I mean, back in Uganda, we have a great religious leader. He was the Archbishop of the same church during the days of Idi Amin, and he stood boldly and criticized the excesses and extrajudicial killings of Ugandans by Idi Amin. He was killed. Today we have a day in his honor. And this is the morality that we are taught, to speak truth to power and not fear. I mean, we are taught that blessed are those that live for truth because the kingdom of heaven is theirs. But our religious leaders don't seem in a rush to embrace the kingdom of heaven. It disturbs me. We are told to emulate Christ. Christ spoke truth to power and even proudly took death. That's why we look death in the eyes, and we are ready to face death, because this is what we are taught historically. All great men, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and others, they were killed for the truth. And today they're heroes, and we are told by our moral leaders that that is the way to go. Unfortunately, the same people are telling us that, compromise and don't die. So that has in a great, great way affected not just mine, but the belief in religion. As I conclude your question, when you're asking, it brought back, I'm sure many of you have read Dr. Martin Luther King's letter from my Birmingham jail.
Yeah.
That noted that the young people then were slowly losing interest in the church because the church seemed not to be as moral as it had to be. So for now, I'm not shy to say my religion is truth. My religion is love. My religion is uncompromising truth and equal rights for every human being.
Equal rights.
Yeah. That also brings me to my brother's question: how can we use constitutionalism to put an end to gun rule? Don't look at constitutionalism alone. We used constitutionalism. I'm in exile right now. We went to the polls, we voted. We won the dictator. And he said, okay, you have won, but screw you. Announce me winner. And it went on like that. So my being here is not just to make a case to foreigners, but to also tap into their abilities, well knowing that it is not only the forces back home, but the forces internationally that are even more effective and more important. I remember when there was a raging fight against the apartheid regime in South Africa. Africans and friends of Africa were on the streets of America and Europe protesting against apartheid. Why? Because the force that held apartheid intact was coming from here, and the force that disintegrated apartheid came from here. We know, just like the force that held Idi Amin in power came from America and the West, the force that kicked him the hell out came from here. General Museveni has been receiving up to $1 billion annually from the United States, leave alone the other Western countries in security cooperation and all that. But when we come to these countries and tell them, yo, we are not asking you to come save us, but stop sponsoring our death. Stop protecting the dictatorships, not only to the administration, but to the intellectuals like yourselves who have voices that are respected. To the American citizens, because it is your taxpayers' money that is being used to oppress us, whether you know or you don't know. But now, nobody can claim not to know because they are aware. When a documentary about apartheid was shown in America, it created so much awareness. And in a short while, the American government disassociated with the apartheid government. That is what we want to do, because we know it's possible. We know if America said we are not going to be associated with mass killings of people, that will end. But now, Muhoozi Kainerugaba, who is Museveni's son and also the head of Uganda military, will torture people on the camera, will torture the wife of a presidential candidate on camera, and the following day he will come out in a picture, an unofficial picture, standing shoulder to shoulder with either an American diplomat or a European diplomat. What does that communicate? That communicates that you're partners in crime, that you are willing to close an eye to this injustice for, other benefits. It shows that this great democracy, when it comes to Uganda, it chooses diplomacy over democracy. It chooses, if I could finish, it chooses, business over rights and values. And for us, we are telling them, stand for the rights and for the values that you profess. And I've said it before, I'll say it right here again, that if what Museveni is doing to Ugandans was being done by a European leader, that leader will not be in power the next month. However, you cannot see an American diplomat or a European diplomat from a democracy standing shoulder to shoulder with a dictator like, for example, Lukashenko. But now, if they stand shoulder to shoulder with an African dictator and it's all right to kill 100 Ugandans and you close an eye to it, shows that the standard, Uganda's human rights is held at a lower standard than the rest of the world. And for us, that comes off like racism. And if it's not, I don't know what it looks like. So our effort now is not only constitutionalism. Our effort is every means, every moral means, every constitutional means, every legal means. And that comes when we scream and scream and scream it out. Thank you.
So we have many hands still. We'll take, I think, 2 more rounds, but we'll try to keep it brief. So we start 15 minutes late, we end 15 minutes late, and we'll be finished. I see Elizabeth.
Okay, now it's time for questions.
Gentleman here.
And the
then, I
student.
said we would take one in the back. Sorry, so you're on the second round.
There's a student from
Elizabeth, and
Uganda
then
and
back.
several other
Yes.
people in the public.
And if you could
I'm
please
here
shout.
to ask some questions.
Thank you. I am a student at the college studying governance and psychology. Thank you so much for being here. As we talked earlier, I grew up listening to songs and in 2021, first of all, because you are a young person and African. Overwhelming majority of young people and a lot of people in Africa following you. But also there's one thing, I think that's one thing that I've been grappling with and I don't know the answer. I think maybe you will know the answer because this is your campaign, is that a lot of other Africans know that you deserve to win and you are at the task of this. But there are other people who also saw your campaign as a joke or maybe to
to attract international support or attention or maybe funds. What did you think that you could really do differently? Because we really want these dictators out. The same thing is happening in my country. And the chief of staff of the defense minister of Uganda is supporting a real bombing to innocent South Sudanese because he is supporting the dictator that is in my country. So my question is, what would you do differently, or any other candidate who want to run, so that what is your background, whether you're coming from politics or not, so that people will not see that you are a joke. You are doing this because you are fighting for people, so that people who have been in politics before could join the support and really support you and know that you are serious. I'm really looking forward to what you do.
I'm sorry, please ask the question precisely.
The question is, what could you have done differently so that the leaders who are in politics, like older people or maybe other people who think that your campaign was not serious, so that they could support this? Because we need young people.
I got the question. I don't know if you will permit me. I would love, but the question is so intriguing that I want to respond immediately, lest I forget or lose the steam. Thank you very much. That's important. It had two parts. First, there are those that see the campaign that we ran as a joke. Believe me, when you fight corruption, corruption fights back. When you fight dictatorship, dictatorship fights back even more ferociously. Now, I'm a musician, and I'm proud of it. Anybody that wants to see me as a joke because of my talent and my vocation, which I went to university and studied and did with excellence, they're right. I mean, there are very many perspectives that people look at us, while the oppressed people look at me and my team as a beacon of hope. The agents of the dictators see me as a saboteur. And others, because we have the oppressor. In Uganda is divided into two sides, the oppressor and the oppressed. The oppressed people are not necessarily in politics, all of them. And also the oppressor, they are not all necessarily in the ruling government. There are even those that pose as the opposition. And indeed Museveni has good opposition and bad opposition. The good opposition are those that are willing to be complacent and do the clean and nice politics, while us, we are the bad opposition that are intending to remove the dictatorship, and we are hated. So, I mean, I cannot choose for everybody how they see us. We would love to be determined by our agenda, the outcome of our campaign, and the character that we show. What could I have done differently? You see what I could have done differently? I don't like it, I don't believe it, so I didn't do it. And that was picking up guns. We are young people. I'm a bad boy. I'm from the ghetto. And indeed, many have come to us saying, Bobby, you are young, we are many, we are desperate, we have nothing to lose but everything to gain. Let's pick up guns and beat up these sons of bitches. I said no, because violence only begets violence. Historically, I've not seen anywhere where violence takes over and you get a smooth democracy. Our desire is to disempower the guns and empower the people. So we would be another group that comes in forcefully and filled with entitlement. But if through this our struggle we disempower violence, then we have empowered the people. We want to change. I mean, we come from a country that has never seen a peaceful transfer of power from one ruler to another. Since independence, 1962, that is 63 years ago. We want to change that in this, our generation. That is why we chose to take the long, painful, but moral path of non-violence. So we could have used violence, but we chose not to. Because also we know that General Museveni has been in power in Uganda for 40 years and he He's a violent guy. He believes in violence. So he has, taken all these years stockpiling weapons. We chose not to take him to an area where he's an expert. We wanted to demystify violence by being non-violent. And that rendered all his stockpile of weapons useless. I mean, I'm a guy that shows up with just a microphone and he has no idea how to deal with us. He put me in jail, it got nasty. He releases me, he's in problems. So he's damned when I'm in jail, he's damned when I'm free.
No wonder they resorted to abductions and killings and all that. So we chose non-violence because it has worked in the past. It's hectic, Uganda, but it will become the new normal for Africa. It's time for constant killing each other is over.
Thank you.
Take Sherry at the back and this gentleman in the vest, and then we'll close.
Hi, I'm Sherry. Graduate student at
tukyagenda maaso batuyinza tuzikirako very soon naye nga olukuŋŋaana luno luli ku Harvard University tugenda kubalugwa era essimu bwe beezikidde mu kaseera ko katono nnyo mu maaso kaawo nja kumufuna ebirala ku channels endala ezigenda mu maaso okukola emirimu wano nga JB Muwonge, Ghetto TV endala nyingi. Thank you.
That's a tricky question. What are my plans or our plans moving forward? I would say the main plan is not to give up. Not to give up. In a dictatorship like Uganda, you don't draw plans. Your next agenda is always set by the regime because you plan to have a rally and you wake up and you're abducted. You plan to speak to the people and you wake up and you're homeless. I mean, hours before, I was a comfortable homeowner back home and a respectable citizen. 24 hours later, I was a fugitive. A month, 2 later, I'm in a foreign country. I always tease with my friends, because when you don't have a home, you're homeless. So we just go by the day, but the major plan is not to give up. Among other things that we are doing or intend to do is to work up the diaspora. When I was forced out of my country, I conditioned my mind to believe that my work has only begun now. So we are on a phase of international engagement. That's what brings me here. That's what's taking me to Harvard tomorrow. That's what takes me in a stone unturned. But most importantly, to galvanize the diaspora. Just like in the days of slave trade, man, we have our best, our cream in the diaspora, in America, in Europe, in Arab countries. The best of us has left home. They are either economic refugees, political refugees, and all that. But these people want to go back home because they are not comfortable and fully living with full dignity on a foreign land. So they want to come back home. We have the best among Ugandans. I've traveled, you go to Europe, you go to these universities and you have Ugandans teaching there. You go to India, you have Ugandans there, the surgeons there. But back home, the education system is rotten, the healthcare system is rotten. These people want to come back home because they know they are going to grow old. But they want to set up a country that will be worth their retirement. So we are reaching out to all those people because we can't reinvent the wheel. When they were fighting against dictatorships like Idi Amin, those that were in exile and in the diaspora played a huge role in the liberation of Uganda. So history is repeating itself, but in a better way. And that is what we're doing, and we keep going. That was the first question. I've forgotten the second question that she
I think you
asked.
answered them together.
Ah,
It was the
thank
message
you.
and that was perfect.
Oh yeah, the message to the young people: don't give up. But not only that, rise to the occasion. Nobody is coming to save you. It is you that is going to determine your tomorrow. You guys are young people here. Me, I'm 44 now. Sometimes I wake up and I'm like, damn, I'm 44. I was 34 just the other day. In fact, it's as if 2 weeks ago when I was 25. But we grow so fast. Especially those that are coming from Africa or oppressed countries. Nobody else. You that are here in Harvard, man, you are the hope that we are looking for. You have already discovered your calling. Frantz Fanon, you are elites, you are intellectuals, you've read so much. You must have read about Frantz Fanon, who said every generation must, out of deep reflection, discover their cause, their mission, and choose to either betray it or pursue it. Now I have no doubt that you know your mission. You know what your countries can be. It's up to you to betray it or pursue it. You can pursue it. We are relying on you. Me, I'm here. I'm only speaking this, but I'm not an intellectual. I came to run for president when I didn't even have a university degree. You are the intellectuals of Africa. You must help yourselves by helping your people. That's a country, whatever country you come from in Africa or in any other oppressed country, you will have to go back. So play a role, rise to the occasion, and lead. People like Kwame Nkrumah, people like Mugabe when he was still a moral person, people like Jomo Kenyatta, they started from here. Where they got from here, came back to Africa and earned us independence, came back to Africa and earned us better. Are you telling me you are not the offsprings of those people? Yes, you are. So it is your time to be the Kwame Nkrumah, to be the Mandela, to be those great revolutionaries that changed Africa. Thank you.
I'm sorry, but I think that's the perfect note to end on. We've gone for over an hour. We've gone 15 minutes past our time, and I know that probably everyone wants a photo. I don't know if you're okay with photos. Please join me in thanking our guests.
Okay, twebaza muna babaddeko. Oye President Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu.
If you allow me to the young people of here, you see, I've not forgotten being a musician. And there's this verse that I always dictate to the young Africans, the young Ugandans. I always tell you, we are the country, we are the future, we are the change we badly need. We are the youngest population in the world, we stand a chance. We are the leaders of the future, and the future is today. If we only come together, we can change our destiny. We definitely can and must change our destiny. Thank you.
People power everywhere. NUP.
Thank you, everyone. If you are not already on the Center for African Studies email list, please sign up on your way out. There should be a QR code. That way you won't miss
We're gonna do that.
his next visit and other visitors that we have. Again, thank you to Bobby Wine.
Look at him. People power.
Okay, mwebale nnyo mwebalire ddala era oyo yabadde President Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu wano ku Harvard University. Katogere mukone producer katono. Just a moment. What was this for in a summary?
Sorry, say it again.
What was this for in a summary?
A summary. This
Yeah.
is a conversation at Harvard University with Bobi Wine, Kyagulanyi, and it was about the future of democracy, the future of activism in Africa, and of course with special reference to Uganda.
That's so great. Okay, that's one of the professors who teaches at Harvard University, and she has been hosting the President Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu. We thank you so much, guys. Mwebale nnyo bannange ababaddeko bibadde mu luzungu naye ebyo mutegedde mubitegedde, ba elite bategedde kibategedde. Tugenda kuba tugalawo, especially ya president egenda kugalwawo, and Ghetto TV nayo very soon egenda kugarwawo. Amanyaze Ashraf Kasirye, tuli wano ku Harvard University, Cambridge, USA, Massachusetts. Mukama abankuumire banange mwebale nnyo mwebalire ddala. Thank you so much.
TV